Shoulder strength in calisthenics is one of the most important things you want to build, and the pike push-up is a great bodyweight exercise to help you with that. So in this video, I want to show you guys the right way to perform the pike push-up, the form cues that you need to be aware of with progressions and regressions. By focusing on the techniques in this video, you will get the best out of the pike push-up, building shoulder and core strength effectively, and also reducing the risk of shoulder injury. So let's get to it. Alright, so as I said at the beginning of the video, let's look at all the form cues first and learn how to do the pike push-up properly. Form cue number one is elbow position. You don't want to flare your elbows out to the sides. When your elbows flare out, the exercise will actually feel easier, but then you're putting your shoulders at a disadvantage. So you want to have your forearms fairly static and not moving backward. Doing this will keep your joints stable, reducing the risk of injury. Next, let's look at the head position. A lot of beginners dip their heads down to go between their hands. You don't want to do that. The head should go forward and down, so far forward that your head ends up ahead of your fingers. And the tip is to imagine a spot on the floor that you want to touch every time that you go down. And another tip here is to try to touch the ground with your nose. You will get more range doing that, which means more gains. Now for cue number three, we need to look at our upper body position. You should be able to draw a straight line between your hip, shoulder and ear throughout the movement. Make sure to have your core engaged, and you want to try to have a V shape between your upper body and lower body as best as possible. If you don't maintain a fairly looking V shape, then you're going to be doing more of an incline push-up, which will target your chest muscles, and we actually want to target the shoulders with the pike push-up. And the last cue is breathing. Breathing is really so important with any exercise you do. Breathe in during the lowering phase and breathe out during the pushing yourself back up phase. And you also want to try to breathe through your stomach rather than your chest to get more strength coming from your ab muscles. So make sure to have your total concentration breathing technique on point to do this right. Now, one point I would like to make on hamstring flexibility is that many people say that you need to be super flexible, but I don't think it needs to be that strict. Provided you can perform all the cues that I already mentioned in the video, and you can perform a half stand forward fold with not a lot of struggle and a straight back, then you can approach the pike push-up with a slight bend to your knees, or you can also open up your legs a little bit wider than your shoulders, for example, as a regression to the exercise. With that said though, hamstring flexibility is a good thing to have, so work on it as well so you can benefit from the flexibility and performing the pike push-up with even better form. Guys, I hope you're getting value from the video this far, and if you are, I would love it if you like the video, and also consider subscribing to my channel so you can get much more calisthenics content like this one. Thank you. All right, let's continue. Sweet, we covered all the technique points. So now let's have a look at the different progressions starting at level one. Level one is the push-up to pike. First, we do a push-up and then proceed to performing a pike or a downward dog position. The downward dog position will be preparing you for overhead position from a shoulder strength and a shoulder mobility angle. At level two, we have the floor pike push-up. In this setup, you take one step back, so you increase the distance between your hands and feet. This will actually make the pike push-up easier. Ideally, you want to have locked out knees, but if your hamstrings are very tight, bend the knees as I explained before. First, make sure to start with your shoulder blades elevated. This cue is actually important in any of the progressions I explained in this video. Then as you descend, make sure to touch the ground with your head or nose, touching the ground in front of your hand as explained in cue number two. As you start pushing back up, make sure to end the repetition with your shoulder blades elevated. When you can perform about 15 reps of those, then you want to step forward again, making the distance between the feet and the hands smaller so that you can increase the difficulty. I would probably stay in this level for at least 6 weeks. And when you're reaching 15 reps with great form and it feels easy, then I would consider moving up a level. On level 3, we have elevated pike push-up. In this progression, we want to place our feet elevated. The more elevated the feet is, the harder it is. So what I recommend is you start with a chair, for example, something lower than your hip height. It will put less load in your hands, and then perform the pike push-up with all the cues mentioned in the video. When you can perform again 15 reps at that height with great form, then you should consider placing your feet even higher, for example at hip height, and this will increase the load in the shoulders even further. And then we have level 4, the elevated pike push-up with parallettes or anything else that you can use. In this level, you're doing exactly what you did on level 3, but now you're using parallettes to increase the range of motion, creating even a more effective move. I have a link in the video description with the parallettes that I use for my training. As I said earlier in the video, hamstring flexibility goes a long way with the pike push-up. It will help you get more out of the exercise. I have a video that explains exactly how to improve your flexibility with a concept called loaded stretching. It's one of the best ways of improving your flexibility and mobility on any muscle. So meet me on the next video and let's go through it. I will see you legends on the next one.